First of all, I want to thank everybody for joining us out here today, Clifton Hill in Niagara Falls, the #1 leisure destination in all of Canada. Upwards of 14 million people come here, and 40,000 people count on tourism to be successful, to put food on the table. This is how people pay for their education, people pay for their mortgage, it's how people pay for a lot of things. So it's important with this big industry that we do things right, that we measure twice, that we cut once. Unfortunately, there's no manual for pandemics. There's no COVID for dummies. So we're figuring this out collectively. And the main message that we need to get across to everybody is that we're in this together. Nobody is trying to hurt anyone else. We're in this together. We're trying to figure out the best way to go about this, where we can actually earn a living and do it in a safe way. That's what our ultimate goal is. So I'm really excited today to announce that we do have a measure that we're going to immediately put into place based on some of the videos that have recently emerged from this past Saturday night. This was the busiest crowd that we've had all year. As you know, it's been very quiet here. It's been desolate. It's been very difficult. 95% of the employees have not come back to work. I've had people come up to me. I've had single moms come up to me recently at a food giveaway, very emotional, saying that the CERB is not enough to feed a family. They're saying, when am I going to be able to get back to work? And I can't give them confident answers because we don't know. We're still trying to figure this out. So we are going to launch a program, an ambassador program, Crush the Curve ambassador program, where we're going to focus on compliance rather than conviction, to get the message out that we all have a responsibility to make sure that the guests are safe, to make sure that the employees are safe, and to make sure that our community is safe. So the idea here is we're going to be proactive, and I'm proud of the industry for doing a 24-hour turnaround. They turned right around immediately and stepped up and are going to fund this program so that we can educate and help people become aware of the importance of their behavior, because we want this to be safe to play. I do want to point out that what we're going to do is we're going to have local employees that'll be dressed in these bright yellow Crush the Curve t-shirts and hats, and they're going to come up to groups of people, and they're going to, in a positive, constructive, proactive way, say, listen, would you like some free hand sanitizer? And it'll go something like this. And they'll put out their hand and they'll mist some hand sanitizer on the hands, and they can wash their hands. And then they'll say, do you have a mask? And then they're going to say, we have masks available at cost for anyone that's interested if you didn't bring your own. And they're going to be available at different locations around our attractions. And then they're going to try to educate them a little bit and say, you know, probably, I'm certain, after tonight's regional council meeting, we are going to implement a mandatory mask bylaw that, as I say, focuses on compliance, not conviction. And we're going to try to come up and educate and make people aware, because it's obvious some people refuse to follow protocols, and we're going to encourage these people to follow the protocol, know that this hand-to-hand distance is approximately 2 meters, and say to them in a real simple way, you need to be at least this far apart from other people, and if you can't, you need to mask. And that's the rules outside and in. And I'm certain and I'm confident that we will pass the mandatory mask bylaw here in the region. And it needs to be regional. We don't need a hodgepodge of, like a quilt of different pieces. We have 12 communities in Niagara. We don't need 12 sets of rules, because a lot of people shop and work within the region. So this will be all public transit, all public spaces, and all throughout the region. And I've been encouraging a lot of my fellow regional councillors and mayors to support this bylaw. This is supportable. It focuses on compliance, and it works with one large group, and we will vote on an actual bylaw rather than agreeing to something and amending it later. We're going to get it right the first time. We've been able to see what other communities have done, and I believe that we do have a successful bylaw ready to be approved tonight. So our Crush the Curve ambassadors will say, I want to let you know there is a mandatory mask bylaw here in Niagara Falls and around the region, and you do need to be this far apart. You do need to mask up when you can't. We do suggest hand sanitizing. We're offering it for free. and we're going to try to do this in a proactive way so that we can educate people. Saturday night, as I said, was a spiked crowd. We were celebrating the 201st anniversary of Colombian independence. The falls were lit up in the Colombian colors of blue, yellow, and red. And a lot of the people, after they saw it, came up here, and it was an onslaught of people all at one time. So I want to reiterate, our focus is to keep everybody safe. We want to be able to operate in a safe way for all of our guests. The tourism industry, I do want to add, came up with a policy and a new program, and this was back in March, and it's safetoplay.ca. I encourage everyone to check out the protocol. They brought in epidemiologists, they brought in the latest technology, including misting hydrogen peroxide and UV lighting. There's thermal heat sensors, masks. There has been a mandatory mask policy, strict for all employees for this, and including all the attractions around here since the safetoplay.ca program was initiated. So we're trying to do our part to make sure that we are safe to play. I know there are challenges all around the world, and we're trying to learn from everybody's challenges so we can come up with a way that's going to be good for everybody. So at this point, I'm going to ask Joel Nowden. Joel Nowden is the Vice President of Marketing for HOCO, and he is one of the people that is helping us to bring this program, the Crush the Curve Ambassador program, out, and he oversees the attractions on this side of Clifton Hill, and he's got a lot of experience in tourism and in marketing, and specifically for this matter. So I'll be around for any questions afterward as well, so I'd like to call up Joel Nowden at this point.
Great. Thank you, Jim. Thank you all for coming out today. We did have a busy weekend. It was actually our busiest weekend, but I can tell you that, sorry, I'm just going to take this down a notch so you can hear me. It was actually our busiest weekend so far this year, but I will tell you that the numbers are still down from last year. So we did have crowds, but they weren't quite as bad as we would have had or good in a normal year. Just to fill you in a little bit about the safety protocols that we've had in place, we started back in March when we were first shut down. We identified that we would need a plan in place in order to reopen. We developed with each of our team members, in fact, the people that you see here are our supervisors, our supervisory team, and we worked with them on what we called the visitor journey. And it took a visitor showing up in our parking lot right through each of our main attractions that we were opening, and all the protocols in place, not only for staff, but also for the visitor. We wanted to make sure that we didn't miss anything. And we had the safety distancing. As protocols came out and rules came out, we quickly adjusted. And what we're doing here today is once again quickly adjusting. We take this all very seriously, not only for our guests, but for our staff and for the people of Niagara Falls. We want to make sure that Niagara Falls and Clifton Hill is a safe place to play. We've instituted additional measures with the safe to play staff, with Crush the Curve staff. We chose supervisors because they were instrumental in helping us develop the strategy. So they know the rules. They've been part of it. They're educated in it. They've lived it since we started the COVID journey. And we feel that they're the best to actually help the visitors comply with the various rules that we have in place.